Hi, friends. Thanks for joining us. Do us a huge favor and smash that subscribe button. Last week, I was like, smash that button. All these new people are like, what? Smash that subscribe button. It helps the channel grow. Benny, where can they find us on social media?
Yeah, you can find us at Ray Benny Sports. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Check us out also on Reddit and Discord. And don't forget to leave us a rating on your favorite podcast provider.
Let's get right into it. Bombers, it didn't seem like they're licking their wounds after Labor Day. And it's kind of right back to business, as this rematch is huge. What's your number one concern going into the Banjo Bowl?
You know what? It's going to be the same as last week, really. The Bombers O-line versus the Saskatchewan D-line front seven. We saw it cause havoc. You know, the Saskatchewan D-line won that game. Or not won that game, but they won that battle against our O-line kind of thing, right? Which also required Brady Oliveira to block a lot, more than he usually does, and probably led to him only being 5 carries. So we saw earlier a tweet, who was it from, saying that the Bombers were practicing a lot of the big package. So if they're bringing that extra offensive lineman in, I feel that's going to be better for Oliveira. He won't have to block as much, but yeah, that O-line needed help, and we'll see what happens. Vanderpool back, we don't know yet. He's still, I think he was limited, and same with Gabe Wallace was also limited. So yeah, so it's going to be a tough one for the Bombers again on that O-line.
Yeah, that O-line has been an issue for the past 2 years. The consistency of the O-line, what was once a dominant unit, has slowly bled some talent, especially some Canadian talent, and they haven't been able to replace it fast enough. My number one concern, I know a lot of folks want to say Jason Hogan, and folks are still talking about Jarius Jackson taking his job, and you know O'Shea is not going to do that, so that is not on the docket this week. And they'd be right to be concerned about Jason Hogan. His play calling has been questionable, and all eyes will be on him. But I'm really concerned about the Bomber defensive line, specifically against the Roughriders. They had a tough time. The Roughriders bullyballed the Bombers. That is a concern. And the Roughriders continue really take momentum and take the steam out of that D-line even more if they are able to run all over their face and tire them out and slow down that pass rush, because that'll open things up even more for Trevor Harris. So I'm really looking for that D-line to... That's my number one concern going into this game, this D-line against the Roughriders. Because if Ouellette couldn't get that running game going, they were doing pretty good against the pass.
Yeah. Yeah, Ouellette was getting some... Like, he only ended up... Well, not only, but he had about 90 yards, right? Just under 90. So he didn't even break 100.
That other dude,
but he had some big runs in that game. And it was wearing the Bombers down a bit. Like we said, Andrew Harris didn't have a great game. He had that one big pass. Other than that, the Bombers kept him in check for the most part, right?
Yeah.
And that pass and that catch and touchdown was a lot of missed tackling going on there. So, we need a better display. We need to get some more pressure on Harris so he doesn't have time.
Mario Anderson, 3 for 34, 11.3 average with 2 touchdowns.
There you go. Yeah.
That was a killer. And he was going off the edge for most of that.
Yeah.
So that defensive line has really got to pick it up. What are we most optimistic about going into the Banjo Bowl? You mentioned this a second ago, or a minute ago, whatever. The Bombers bringing in a heavy package. You know that I have been itching to see this. I've been itching to see this since remember when Calgary came in here and we thought they were going to whoop the Bombers. Dedrick Mills went nuts in the first half, and then they stopped running to him. Then the Bombers were using that heavy package. I'm like, oh, this is it. They're going to use this all the time. And then then weeks after that, it just slowly declined. This should be a staple in their package with the trips receivers. I think this formation will befuddle Saskatchewan. What are you going to do? Are you going to play man and then play the trips, and then the strong side of the running game will have a field day with Oliveira? Or are you going to play zone and let Zach Caleros dissect the zone with 3 receivers on one side? What are you going to do? So I'm really happy to hear this. And I hope it's not a short yardage situation. This has to be a staple. And if they can't figure it out, keep pounding it.
Well, yeah, we just talked about it too. We don't want Oliveira blocking as much as he did. Yes, you want him a few times here and there, but not as much as he did. So yeah, hopefully they use it quite a bit.
Yes.
I'm not holding my breath on that one because
Ooh.
this offense again has been all over the place. Yes, Colaros put up a lot of yards. Yes, the Bombers did score a lot of points, but it was it was inconsistent for the most part.
Yeah.
If they would have put it all together, it would have, it would have been a better game altogether. Plus, they came into the second half not scoring again, right? Couple 2-and-outs, quick drives out over until they got it going later on. So what I'm optimistic about is that the game was actually close. The Bombers made a game of it. They were on the road, Labor Day Classic, um, in a hostile environment, and they still came with and ended up being 4 points of a victory. And we didn't talk about this last game, and I still feel like he had it. I feel like Sergio Castillo had that ball in that pile up, but he probably was not strong enough to keep that ball in that pile off the onside kick.
Well, he had the angle on it and he had the cover,
Yeah,
but the
he was
scrum. It's
he
about
was
the
definitely
scrum.
there. Yeah, exactly. The scrum was where he probably lost it, which is unfortunate. But you know what? They got to look at this game almost as a must win. So their backs are against the wall, and I feel like they're going to come out humming and use a little bit. That game was close last week.
Yeah.
I know we don't like talking about close losses for the Bombers over the last few years, but the up and downs of the Bombers, will definitely take that one right now.
Close losses. That kills me. That kills me. Unless it's a shutout, all losses are L's. But man, I get what you're saying. Absolutely. Which Bomber can you see being the biggest difference maker in the Banjo Bowl?
Has to be Brady Oliveira, right? Has to be. I mean, 5 carries last week. Not even a lot in the passing game. They're going to need him, and they'll need him. Even if he's not getting the yards, they're going to need to be able to have this offense kind of going through him a little bit. Not that he's not going to get the yards, but they need to have him as a factor.
Absolutely.
They can't let Saskatchewan take him out of this game like they did last week. With Ontario Wilson back, I know Dalton Schoen is unfortunately out, but with Wilson back, hopefully that opens things a little bit more in that. And again, the heavy blocking that the Bombers might bring in, that might be good for him.
5 carries is not enough. We know it's going to be more than that this week. He has to be a staple, just like the heavy set. I swear, if they use that this week enough, I will not even mention it next week. I swear to you, it's worth that to shut me up, isn't it? It's worth it. But I think the biggest difference maker, even though Oliveira must be a staple in it, I think the biggest difference maker this game will be Kevin's Clercius. He really looked good last week. Good numbers, not great, but the quality of catches that he was getting and the physicalness that he was playing with, it looked like Zach Collaros and him took a step forward in regards to QB and receiver chemistry. And I think Zach Collaros will be looking for him more. I've been pining for a big body target, and at 6'3", over 200, this dude can be that big target and be a game changer. And I think Saskatchewan will have fits with him this week. So I will go with Kevin's Clercius as the biggest difference maker in the Banjo Bowl. 6 receptions, 121 yards, 1 touchdown. I'm giving you stats, bro.
Wow. I hope so.
I'm excited. I'm excited. He got 80 yards last week?
Yeah, he was solid.
4 receptions?
Yeah. Yeah, and Zach usually likes having a guy that can be his security blanket, and if he Clercius, because I mean, let's face it, Dalton Schoen's not staying healthy. This could be the last ride with Dalton Schoen, and who knows how this season's going to end up. And Dalton Schoen was that security blanket, so Claros needs now someone else, and hopefully he starts to trust Clercius even more.
Yeah, I remember someone saying if Dalton Schoen gets injured again, I might be ready to cut ties with him.
You know what? I was going to ask you that, actually. It's on my sheet here. Is it time to cut bait?
I wonder who said that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of Bomber Nations think the same thing. Not just because you don't have that target there, and because also the cap hit.
Yeah. I mean, what is he still making? 200? Like over that? Like
there. I'm sure he took a little less to accommodate, but how much less? Come on.
Yeah, but you think the cap savings you can possibly get from that you can use somewhere else, maybe closer to the trade deadline. I know there's not a lot of stuff happening in the CFL trade deadline wise, but I mean, for a guy that's making that much money and is not playing, that's not good business.
Yeah, you could have kept that money and signed Dobson.
Hey.
I'm joking. I know. I just want to see what you do. I want to see your reaction.
It's going to get me started on that, eh? So annoyed with that.
You got your difference maker in there? Yes, Brady Oliveira, Kevin's Clercius, and let's move on to the Bomber blueprint of the Banjo Bowl. I'll go first. Offense. I kind of already mentioned it with the heavy set and the trips, but I'm going to reference a clip I posted earlier on with Marshawn Lynch. You just got to run it over and over and over and over again. Run it through a MFer's face until they don't want it no more. That's what they have to do. And that's what I think they will do, because that opens up everything else. It opens up the play action. It opens up the passing game. It opens up Brady Oliveira in the flats. It opens up the wide side of the field that for some reason Zach Caleros likes to keep going to. But if you have folks looking into the backfield, that might open it up a little bit. So keep running. I think they'll keep running. Yes, big day by Brady Oliveira, but bully ball wise, Blue Bomber bully ball wise, they're going to get that going. I think they'll put up a lot of yards against Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan will bend, but for most of the time, they won't break. Low scoring game for me this week.
Didn't you say last week, or was that the game before with the low scoring game?
I always say low scoring game, and I keep getting effed.
I'm pretty much.
It started out 0-0 in the first quarter.
Yeah, there was a lot of punts. There was, what, six to eight punts to start that game? I can't remember now.
Yeah, I felt like a genius.
At least 6 for sure. And then it just opened wide open.
Then I felt like a dummy.
Same thing. I think the O-line is going to have a great game. I think they're going to have a bounce back game. They're going to be better than they were last week. Last week, again, difficult situation. You're on the road. That crowd was loud. I'm going to assume there's going to be more Bombers fans in this crowd than Saskatchewan fans, even though there'll probably be some green in there. So yeah, but I think the O-line is going to power back. And like you say, that we're getting so excited for this heavy set. It better freaking happen more than once or twice this game.
Yes.
Well, I can't wait for you to text me at some point and say, where's the heavy set?
Oh my goodness. You know I will. Like the first drive, if I don't see it once, I'm like, what?
First play. Where's the heavy set?
Yeah, where's the heavy set? I love that heavy set. Defensive blueprint. What do you think is going to go on there?
I think the Bomber linebackers, I know we talked about the Bomber D-line, but I think the linebackers are going to have a good game and need to have a good game here. Like we said, Ouellette, about 90-ish yards, I think. But he pounded that D-line, and he pounded sometimes the linebackers too struggled. And I know Kyrie Wilson and Tony Jones had some big plays in this game, and they played well. I'm not saying anything bad about the linebackers here, but they were getting beaten down on those runs. And like you said, Mario Anderson had his day getting those touchdowns too, right? So yeah. They'll need to be huge. We know what the DBs and the D-line need to do, but the linebackers need to step up.
Oh, 100% agree with you, man. I'm going back to last week's matchup of the week that I was looking at, Tony Jones and AJ Ouellette, and I expanded it to the linebackers because also what I mentioned earlier about the defensive line, I'm not very optimistic about the defensive line. Not that I don't think they can have a good game, especially in the gut. Yeah. I think still Cam Lawson looked better. I think there's something there, but I'm still worried about the middle of even with Jamal Adams. If Jamal Adams is raring to go, I think that'll still be an issue. So I think the linebackers will have to be shedding those blocks. Will have to be forcing their way to stop Ouellette 2 to 3 yards from the line. Because if the Bombers have to be seeing 2nd and 6 and less, they're not in a good position. That's easy money for Trevor Harris. They got to be putting Saskatchewan 2nd and 7 and more. So those linebackers, it's all on you. Not all, a lot of it's on you to shed those blocks and pound Ouellette and Anderson.
Yeah, there were times our D-line had Ouellette, and the defense had Ouellette for a loss. Not even a loss, but at the line of scrimmage. And then all of a sudden he's coming up with 5 or 6 yards on the run, right? And it just happened way too often. So
he falls forward hard.
Yes. Yeah.
Just like Andrew Harris. Maybe that's the thing No, we've seen that before from Ouellette. But remember how Andrew Harris is like, oh, you're stopped at the line, but he will push and he'll get an extra 2-3.
Well, there was one comment, I think, in the broadcast. I can't remember who said it, but they were like, what Ouellette was his patience. And they're crediting Andrew Harris for that he must have worked with Ouellette to find that patience. Because there was a play, yes, he waited, found his hole, and then got a good gain out of it. So yeah, he had a solid game for Saskatchewan, and I think he was their difference maker on offense.
And notice that doesn't happen as much with Oliveira and this O-line. And I don't think it's on Oliveira. I just think it's the chemistry that Andrew Harris and Oliveira also had with previous lines that just is not there. Where you can wait and here it's coming, it's going to develop, then I go. But it just doesn't seem that that's there as much this year.
Yeah, there was a few plays last week I was yelling at Oliveira, like, what are you doing? Like, he would wait, and then all of a sudden he's getting tackled. It's like, dude, you have to make a decision at some point. And I guess, like you're saying, he's not seeing that whole opening the way he thought it would be. And he's second guessing himself a little bit there, right? So he's sometimes just got to, and a few Bombers did it really last week. They tried to be cute instead of just being physical. Put your head down and get that extra 1 or 2 yards.
Yeah.
Don't get 0 yards after getting, you have an opportunity for 2 more, right? Kind of thing. So
I love that you say that. This team cannot be cute.
yeah.
At the beginning of the year in the offseason, Jason Hogan was hoping that this would be a chameleon-like team that could play any style, anytime, and they can just off and on turn it like that. No, this is not an offense like that. This seems to be an offense that needs to really grind it out and really pound the hell out of the other team. This is a fighting offense, it seems like. Not a crazy dynamic, big play all the time, But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm talking on my ass.
Maybe. There's a possibility.
Yeah, I am not an analyst. Special teams. I already mentioned Sergio Garcia. I think it'll be huge because I believe it'll be.
Did you say Sergio Garcia?
Sergio Garcia. Just like you said Andrew Harris when you were talking about Trevor Harris, but I didn't say anything. Shoot, look at this guy. Sergio Castillo.
At least my guys played the same sport.
Kind of, I guess.
I mean, maybe Sergio Garcia played football. I don't know.
Sergio Castillo.
Yes.
With the field goals, I think he'll have a big game. He must have a big game.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. He's, a couple misses. And I know you go back to Ottawa, even with that long one. I don't blame him again, but there's a miss. Missing Saskatchewan kind of thing, which would have been a huge field goal, unfortunately at that time. So, he needs to do it. And the Bombers need to stop Alfred. I know, again, we talked about this. Alfred had that big return, ended up fumbling on it, but that would have been a huge part of that game if the Bombers don't get that fumble. Saskatchewan probably puts that game away right there because they would have been starting at midfield or past that. I can't remember, but somewhere around there. So, again, key on him, and Sheehan's got to be a bit better at punting that ball. Stop punting it out of bounds and that penalty. We do not need that. I know Saskatchewan did it as well, but yeah, just pin him deep, sidelines, so you can't get that return, but be careful.
Bomber fans, let's hear your Bomber blueprint. What needs to happen? What do you think is going to happen in the Banjo Bowl rematch? Also, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. We appreciate it. If the Bombers win, would you consider them a Grey Cup contender or a Grey Cup pretender?
I still think a pretender, even if they win this game. It's a Banjo Bowl. It's a home game against Saskatchewan. They should win this game, right? We expect them to win. Even if they've lost every other game in a season, we expect them to win this game, and everyone does. The only way I would think is if they somehow smash Saskatchewan, in this game somehow, and really put the beat down. Really, the league, 2/3 of the leagues, this league are pretenders right now. The East is a whole division of pretenders right now. To me, there's 2 teams that are possibly contenders right now, Saskatchewan and Calgary. So I would leave Winnipeg as pretenders.
If the Blue Bombers win this week, I am going to put them as contenders. I think winning against Saskatchewan, the first place team at 9-2 right now, will be huge. And I think just, screw stats, screw any of that common sense garbage. Again, I'm not an analyst. I just think winning Banjo Bowl going into this home stretch of the season, that'll be a big kick for the Bombers, and I think they'll roll. So based on a little bit of beer and stupidity, I think the Bombers are going to roll if they win this game, and they will seriously be contenders, whether they go to the East or the West, even though they are so far 0-3 against the Eastern teams in the playoffs recently. I think they'll roll.
Yeah, and they got the Ticats next week, so.
The Ticats ain't looking good right now. Well, they are looking good. They just haven't won.
Yeah, well, they've lost. Yeah, well, that's what I said about pretenders. Hamilton's lost 3 in a row now.
Oh, wait till you hear my hot pick prediction later.
All right.
But let's move on to which weekend matchup holds the most weight in the CFL. Let's move on to some CFL talk. What do you think?
I was trying to pick a different game, but I had to go back to Winnipeg, Saskatchewan. Just because if the Bombers lose this one, first place is is going to be a hard reach for the Bombers at 6-6 and with Saskatchewan at 10-2. I think at any of these teams, well, Edmonton, Calgary, I guess could be, but that's the biggest gap. And we know the Bombers have hosted the West Final for the last 4 years. 3. So, that's a huge game here. Saskatchewan must know this. It must be in their head that they can essentially put the Bombers away here with 6 games to go.
There's a lot of weight in the rivalry.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Edmonton Calgary, especially more for Calgary, because I think if Calgary loses, I think they are done. I think with their schedule heavily in the West, I think it'll be hard for them to string together 3 consecutive wins. And if they're behind BC by 2 games, I think that's what they'll probably need to do. And I can't see Edmonton winning 3 games in a row this year. So I think if Edmonton loses, they're done. And I think if Calgary wins, that gives them the juice. I think that puts them, I guess, depends what happens in Winnipeg, Saskatchewan, because they're a game behind Saskatchewan right now, but they also have the advantage over Saskatchewan. So if they win and Saskatchewan loses, that's really huge for Calgary. I think that puts them in a head-to-head finish with the advantage, Saskatchewan. So I'll go Edmonton Calgary.
Yeah, and Edmonton Calgary is the last game again of the weekend, right? So they got the opportunity to kind of see what happened in the earlier games, and a little bit of pressure. If Saskatchewan wins, hey, the pressure's on Calgary right now.
Yeah,
and then if Saskatchewan loses, still pressure, but at least it's a little bit off. But they're thinking, okay, now we can get first place. We can grab first place away from Saskatchewan and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a pretty big weekend. Like you say, for the Elks, they've played well. 3 wins in the last 4 weeks. Last week, not so much. Calgary kind of shut down that offense altogether. So this is a big game for them because they need this, especially if BC wins this week. They'll pull away a bit from the Elks again, right? I mean, what are they at? 4 wins for the Elks. Lions would move up to 6, right? And Toronto's winning in the East again. So that crossover squad is kind of looking iffy at this point too.
Man, already playoff implications.
September, man, it's getting there.
With Brady Oliveira starting to climb up this rushing ladder list accomplishments, all-time bomber as moving CFL Canadian. Who would you say is your favorite all-time CFL running back, and then favorite all-time CFL Canadian running back? Let's start with who's your favorite all-time running back.
I got to go with Charles Roberts. He was so fun to watch in all these years that he was with the Bombers. And I know there's the guys when we were younger, Willard Reeves, Robert Mims, those guys were good too. But, watching Charles Roberts play and being this as small as he was and being able to scamper for as many yards as he did was fantastic.
And Blink was crazy.
Yeah.
Like no one thought when he came or he started with the Bombers that he would be the starting tailback. I thought he would be a special teamer.
Yeah.
Because I think Eric Blunt was the starting running back when he came in. So it's like, okay, Eric Blunt, he was good. We're cool. Yeah. And then Charles Roberts, I think halfway through the season, started really getting some rushing opportunities and no looking back.
Yeah, it's crazy what he did.
My favorite running back is also going to be a Winnipeg Blue Bomber, but I'm going to take one who statistically probably isn't up there. I just really enjoyed the way he played. I like Robert Mims. He was in the 1990 Grey Cup when they kicked Edmonton's ass. And in 1991, dude had over 2,000 total yards. He was just a great combination of speed and balance and power and he had a good year in Saskatchewan too. Like he had some injury riddled seasons because he played so physical. Like that dude did not avoid confrontation on the field. He would go toe to toe with you, and he'd take balls. And he was a great blocker also, and he took balls. He was a great receiver. But he had a few years where he was just beaten up, and then he went to Saskatchewan, and then he went nuts one year. One more good year.
He was always fun to watch as well.
I think he crossed 1,400 yards ish in this last season or two. So Robert Mims is mine. Canadian running back, I'm gonna go with Milson Jones. Another one who didn't get the stats up there, but man, watching Milson Jones play, I've always been a fan of north-south running backs. Charles Roberts, cool, crazy moves, but watching someone just pound through the line like he did as a Canadian and as a Winnipegger, although watching him play for Saskatchewan and Edmonton, it helps a nightmare, but I'll go with Milson Jones.
I'm staying right in Winnipeg again, going with Andrew Harris. And if he would have stayed in BC, he probably wouldn't have been my pick, even though he would have had still a great career. But watching him, put the Bombers kind of on his back in those early seasons in that first Grey Cup was something to watch. And like you say about a guy just pounding it, kind of thing. He just went, found his hole, and he gave her, and he gave it. Like he put his body on the line every game for the Bombers. He helped the Winnipeg get back to the Grey Cup and win that Grey Cup. So yeah, I loved watching the guy play. And yeah,
So
unfortunately now he's also in Saskatchewan. So
if he stayed with BC, would you pick John Cornish?
yeah, I might have gone somewhere else. But again, at the same time, depends what Andrew Harris ended up doing with BC, right? I mean, I still watched BC's games before, right? But like he just took over once he came here. Like it was always, oh yeah, Andrew Harris is good. He's having good seasons in BC. Like he had a good Grey Cup against the Bombers in 2011, right?
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
then watching him every week after that, it was different, and you get to see how special the guy actually was. John Cornish was another good one though.
So many good Canadian running backs.
Yeah.
Like shout out to Blake Marshall Edmonton. That dude was a load of see, I do like north south running backs. Blake Marshall was awesome. I was scared watching him play. I was scared for the Bomber linebackers on that one. What's your high risk prediction going into the home stretch of the CFL season?
You want a high risk? I haven't said this at all or picked them to win anything. I'm going to go Bombers winning the Grey Cup. You wanted high risk, right?
Yeah. That's interesting. Did you pick them to go to the Grey Cup in your Grey Cup prediction?
No, I don't even think I picked them to make the West Final. I can't remember.
So are you changing now your Grey Cup prediction?
No, you just want to. I don't know. I think I changed it already, right? I think I stuck with BC and went to Hamilton,
Right?
instead of Ottawa. But
Right?
no, you told me to make a prediction. This is it. I don't think it's gonna happen still. And you wanted high risk.
Shit. Not Frank. Yo, if you're gonna put a comment or a prediction in the comment section, believe in it. Don't throw shit at my screen. Believe in it. I'm gonna go. Montreal is gonna host the East Final. Montreal is going to host the East Final, and actually, that's probably not looking right now at the positions of people are in. They're only 2 points behind. Right? Hold on.
Yeah.
CFL standings.
Yeah, 2 points behind.
That's not even really a high risk prediction now that I think of it.
But to tell you something, I have that also written down saying with Davis back, the Owls will win the East. But then I'm like, high risk. I got to pick this Bomber one. Because, if Hamilton hadn't lost 3 in a row and we're still had a better record,
yeah,
and maybe say they're 2 or 3 games up still in Montreal, yeah, you can see that and go, yes, that is high risk.
yeah.
I think Montreal with Davis back is probably the best team in that East Division.
You know what's probably a more high risk prediction than that is the Bombers host the Western semifinal.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
That's probably a higher risk prediction than Montreal getting the bye.
Yeah.
Oh, that's rough.
Like, if the Bombers win this week, even if Calgary wins, like the Bombers lose the tiebreaker Saskatchewan's, right? So they've lost the tiebreaker against Saskatchewan and Calgary. If the Bombers win, you're only 2 games behind. Yes, you don't have the tiebreaker against Calgary, who may be 2 games up as well.
Yeah.
But at least that'll make things interesting over the last 6 weeks or whatever it is of the season.
I got the big great Bombers going to the Grey Cup. So you know what? I will take them to host the West semifinal. That's my bold high risk prediction because like the other one's okay, but let's pivot to that one. Let's go.
Yeah.
Bombers will host the West final.
Yeah.
I believe.
No. West final or West
semifinal? Semifinal.
Okay, yeah.
I don't believe that much.
Yeah.
I don't believe that much. Shoot.
I'm like that's probably more realistic than actually hosting and to me that'll come down to them winning this week and then beating Saskatchewan again later in the season to get that tiebreaker.
Absolutely. Which will be
I feel like Calgary will end up first here. And if Winnipeg have to battle Calgary, they're lost because they're the tiebreaker, right?
Yeah.
So
all right. So I'll go with that. Winnipeg will host the Western semifinal.
all right.
CFL fans, Bomber fans, all y'all fans, put your high risk predictions in the comments section below. What a crazy week coming up. We thank y'all for all the comments and the great follows. Join us again next week. We'll probably pull some of your comments, respond to them. We can't thank y'all enough for the follows and the likes and all that. CFL season's heating up and we love all this action. Benny, you have anything to say to our friends?
Yeah, just thanks for a lot for listening. Don't forget, subscribe, follow, and go Bombers go.
I'm still in Calgary, So, in the words of Ed Whalen, the famous announcer from Calgary Stampede Wrestling, in the meantime and in between time, that's it. Another edition of Ray and Benny Talk Sports.
Hey, friends and neighbors, don't forget to check us out online on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Ray Benny Sports. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. Leave a like, leave a comment, tell us what you think.